All right, so we got Lauren Hunter today.
This is from The Way of the Superior Man. So, every moment of your life, this is talking to men, is either a test or a celebration. The same is true about every moment with your woman, only doubly so. Not only is her simple existence a test for you, but one of her deepest pleasures in intimacy is testing you and then feeling you are not moved off course by her challenge. So perhaps you've been working on some sort of financial goal and finally you've succeeded. After months or years of effort, you have creatively earned a large amount of money. You feel happy, full, successful, you feel great. You come home to your woman and want to share the news with her. I just made $1 million today. That's nice. That's nice. You know how hard I've been working for this. I know, I feel like I haven't seen you in months. Did you remember to pick milk up on the way home? Oh, sorry, I forgot, but who cares? We could buy a dairy farm now. I asked you to pick the milk up 3 times this morning and I put a note in your briefcase. How could you forget? I said, I'm sorry. Look, I'll go get the milk. Why is she being this way? Because she simply wants to deflate your success? No. She is challenging you because your success doesn't mean crap to her unless you are free and loving. And if you are free and loving, nothing she says can collapse you. She wants you to feel you are uncollapsible because she pokes you in your weak spot. Of course she knows how much this moment of success means to you. This is precisely why she's negating it. Not because she wants to hurt you, but because she wants to feel Shiva, which is like the divine masculine. She wants to feel your strength. She wants to feel that your happiness is not dependent on her response, nor on you making $1 million. She wants to feel you are a superior man. Honey, I'll go get you some milk, all right? You say as you sweep her off the ground and lay her on the couch, laughing, kissing, looking deeply into her eyes and milking her happiness with the confident loving of your caress. This is the kind of man your woman can trust. Now the moment is a moment as a celebration. Now she can relax and truly join in your jubilation, knowing you are not dependent on her praise for your happiness. It will last perhaps 10 minutes and then she will test you again. It never ends. A woman will always test her man for the pleasure of feeling his strength and loving.
I almost want to watch the whole thing because I think there is a lot of value in this, but so many guys are going to disagree. So oddly, everything that she said is true from the fantasy perspective, okay? Or the ideal, whatever. I mean, to me, they're synonymous almost. Ideal and fantasy is almost the same. But in this case, right, this is all completely true. And this is what a lot of guys don't understand, okay? Yes, a girl will bask in your success or whatever, but when you come home and start talking about success, it really just comes down to, in the way that it's written, right? The perception could be that the guy is seeking validation. So when we're talking about this divine masculine, basically the perfect masculine, right? This is what it means, divine. Divine is of God, perfection, whatever, ideal. Okay, you don't care about the $1 million you made because you already know that you were destined for it, going to get it anyways. It's something that this is just how it is. Of course, I was going to make $1 million. Well, I'm even excited about this when I foresaw this coming. I knew I was going to be here. Okay, when you think of it from that perspective, the excitement is now gone. So, in essence, right, what a lot of guys don't understand, philosophically speaking, is that being a man really is about being in this emotionless state. Okay, you don't want to rely on your emotions at all. And most modern guys are too feminine to understand this. Okay, I know it's a bit of a hard pill to swallow. Not easy to process this because everything you're taught is counter to this. Okay, your whole life you're taught that, oh, emotions are the most important thing. Be in touch with your emotions, blah, 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 right? For us, it's about dominating our emotions at all times. And the only time we really, really get respect in life is when we're sort of in this balanced state. Like things don't really affect us. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now, that can be perceived as nonchalance, which is an extension of that, right? Nonchalance is part of that. But I think it's more about the fact that you're in total acceptance of what life is. Okay. It's a grind. It's pain, suffering, whatever you want to call it, right? Most of the time, your enjoyable moments are not something that you can choose that easily. And if you choose them, if you want to be pleasurable all the time, then chances are you're living a very reactive life, right? There's always a balance between choosing pain proactively or experiencing pain reactively. And the guys that are truly masculine, of course, they're going to proactively seek the suffering instead of being reactive, because either way you're going to suffer. So if you suffer proactively, at least you can get the reward when you want it. And then you go back to proactive suffering, controlled suffering, right? And when I say suffering, I mean discipline, whether it's gym, work, whatever it is. All the non-pleasurable activities is what truly brings you success, regardless of what it is. And this applies, of course, to women, especially, right? Because women are going to constantly test you. This is just the reality. And they will mask these tests with pleasurable emotions, sometimes even sex, right? And there's a lot of things that come with that, and you have to be able to resist this on some level. And if you don't, you will eventually appear weak. So, as sad as it may sound to a lot of guys, keep in mind, of course, this is the ideal, okay? You want to approach the ideal. You want to approach this. Are you ever going to be perfectly ideal? No, but it should be your standard, at least from this perspective of when we're talking about the emotional control aspect, right? From there, the decisions get a little different. This now depends on which morality you subscribe to, right? So how you're going to make decisions from this position can change depending on what you subscribe to, like I said, morally. But ultimately, this emotionless state is something that every man should try to aspire to. And now that doesn't mean that you're bottling, okay? So a lot of people make this excuse. They say, oh, well, you shouldn't be bottling your emotions. This is a fantasy propaganda lie, okay? This idea that you're bottling your emotions is something that they're teaching you that you do, okay? It's not about bottling your emotions. It's about dominating them, seeing them pass through your mind, okay? Something happens, you're on the road, some guy cuts you off or whatever. You get angry, or your instinct, is your instinct in that moment is anger. You see the anger in your mind and you don't respond to it. That's what emotional control is all about. It's not that you're bottling it, you just see it walk by and you're not immediately going to have a full-fledged response to it, okay? That's what it's about. Now, that doesn't mean you're never emotional either, because there's a time in the physical world where emotions are necessary, like the emotions of anger as a man. There's times where you have to show your teeth, not because you want to, but because you have to. So a lot of guys just cannot, well, most guys, I'd say like 99%, can't get this balance correct. This seems to be the ultimate challenge. So many excuses all of the time, right? And of course, naturally, guys tend to blame women all the time. Look, I understand women are far from ideal in the current scheme of things, right? In current society, women are very, very far from ideal. But it does not mean that you need to compare yourself to their standard and also choose to be non-ideal in that way. I think it's best to control your emotions anyways, master yourself, of course. Then you can worry about mastering the enemy, which in this case, for a lot of you guys, it is woman, right? You love women, but it's something that you can't quite solve, okay? It's a big issue in your life. This is the key. This is the key. It's easier said than done. Obviously, there's a whole process to this, trying to get to that point. A lot of self-training. It's all self-discipline related. Like you feel, and everyone's individual when it comes to what their triggers are. I hate using that word triggers, but you get my point. There's a lot of different things that people respond to. Being able to dominate those feelings as they come and controlling yourself, exposing yourself to those situations, not reacting. These things are very important. Okay. And yeah, just because you're never going to be perfect doesn't mean you don't train. Just like you're never going to reach the perfect body, of course. You can train your whole life. You're always going to want more. But there is a point of diminishing returns where you reach a really, really solid point and it does become good enough. You're always going to still try, though. That's part of being a guy, right? You still always have to try for progression. If you're not progressing, you're regressing, right? So you do have to always progress. But at some points, it becomes about the 0.001% gain instead of the 20, 30, 40% gain. And a lot of you guys are at that point where you're really still battling for that 20 to 30%. And you guys are focusing on the 0.1%. Okay, that 0.1% focus comes way after you've done the majority. Anyway, that was a bit of a long rant on this particular segment. I just want you guys to really understand that this piece of writing is very accurate. Very accurate. So I'm just curious to what her interpretation of this is going to be, which is what I'm waiting for, because I feel like her interpretation might be wrong, because a lot of girls take this the wrong way, right? They take it upon themselves now to try to dominate the guy, give themselves the freedom to give him instructions. None of that is true. Okay, this is purely an objective view, an objective perspective on how it needs to be. Hopefully a girl doesn't read that and think to herself, oh, well, I must challenge him then. It's like, no. If you're instinctually challenging him, sure. But if you're logically now trying to make his life more difficult out of some perceived principle because you want to challenge him, that is not at all what it is. Not even close. Okay. You will naturally do this. Your emotions will do this automatically. You don't have to really go out of your way. Anyway. Hey guys, before we keep going, I want to quickly let you know about my Modern Dating Mastery course. If you haven't heard me mention it before, it's a dating course I've made that teaches you all the main things on how to master modern dating. Whether you're a beginner in dating or you just want to refine your knowledge, this course is for everyone. Through helping men, I've noticed a lot of them struggle with understanding and communicating with women. They had a girl who was in love with them, then she started losing respect and the relationship ended. Or they thought they can get a girl to like them by being their personal servant. Sometimes it can even be as simple as just saying the wrong thing or responding incorrectly. A lot of this comes from believing what they've been told about dating women instead of the actual truth. And when they learn the truth, their dating life and confidence start to drastically improve. These are the core teachings of the Modern Dating Mastery course. I go over all the mainstream dating lies most guys fall for and correct them with the truth. Then I follow up with some theory to prepare you for the final part of the course where I go over all the different ways women will test you while you're dating them. Fundamental tests, social tests, physical tests, emotional tests, and even financial tests. Each section has videos where I break down exactly how she'll test you along with how to respond so you're always passing them. There are over 60 videos in total and it comes with a PDF cheat sheet for quick review. For those of you who are interested, I've got my biggest sale of the year going on right now with the course being 67% off. Click the link at the top of the description to learn more about it. Alright, let's get back to the video.
His capacity to transcend nuisance, his persistence in his own truth, and his capacity to share that truth in love with her.
Okay, so when we're talking about the nuisance part, right? A girl she's purposely making your life difficult out of logic and principle. This is not the point. Okay, so you gotta be very, very careful with this. Is where now it gets a little sticky, right? Because we're talking philosophy and some sort of fantasy world, theoretical, hypothetical, whatever you want to call it. Sure, we can discuss this, right? But in practical reality, it does become dangerous because girls then think now that they're supposed to do these things. It's like, no, 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 you're not supposed to make a guy's life harder just because. Okay? Just want to make that very clear. If they start being a massive nuisance, it's not your job to tolerate everything because you aren't God on earth. All right? So, just important to keep that in mind.
Even when she's complaining, especially when she is complaining. Her complaint is the beginning of her pleasure. It is not true criticism, but a test of your masculinity or shivahood.
Yeah, once again, we have to be careful with this too, because what this now does is incentivizes women to never have any self-improvement. Okay, and this is already the case in society where women don't really feel the same pressure for self-improvement. So we gotta be a little bit careful with this. This whole idea that, oh yeah, when a girl's complaining about stuff to you, this is a test of your manhood. Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes, but sometimes it's not. There are times where you need to draw the line too, right? That's why, like I said before, as true as this stuff is in theory, in practice, it's very, very difficult. Very difficult, okay? It's, to get this dance down perfectly is something that people have been trying to figure out for thousands of years. Okay, so don't expect now that you're gonna magically just figure this out. It's very difficult, but there is a dance, all right?
The criticism is entirely dissolved in love as soon as she feels your humor and happiness in the midst of the poke.
I've addressed most of the points I wanted to address. Like I said, it's important to be a little careful because when girls take all this spirituality stuff and they start reading this, there is always a proclivity to misinterpret this. Always, right? Because girls always look for ways to justify their mystical behavior, okay? Horoscopes are a great example. Any form of spirituality, rocks, stones, whatever you may be. There's tons of different examples. I can't think of all of them. Girls will look to justify their behavior, okay? Instead of looking at maybe I should self-improve, they will most of the time default to, oh, but the excuse for my behavior is insert A, B, C, D excuse. And society hands out excuses to women on a silver platter at this point. It's a buffet. So for that reason, it is a little bit dangerous. I do want you guys to keep that in mind. So I'm not telling you that women are never at fault. I am saying that there's truth in this and you guys need to sift through the truth of it and not get discouraged about it. Like aim for perfection, okay? Aim for perfection, but don't let women dictate whether you're ready or not. You do on some level have to be your own gauge because one singular woman can't be allowed to dictate your value, okay? Because that one single data point might be completely off. Even 5 data points might be off. Okay, so it's important to keep this in mind, take it with a grain of salt, and don't take it completely wholeheartedly. Understand the truth in it and you will be just fine. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Don't forget to check the top of the description for the link to the Modern Dating Master course.